Alright, let's start with something simple but powerful. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable we get when things feel unpredictable? Like when your phone rings from an unknown number or plans suddenly change without warning. That's not just you being rigid or inflexible. That's your brain doing what it was designed to do, protect you. Your brain is a prediction machine. It craves certainty, it wants to know what's coming next, and when it doesn't, that's when the anxiety creeps in, the tension builds, and we start second, guessing everything. Now here's the kicker. Most people think the brain wants excitement and spontaneity all the time. It sounds sexy, right? Live in the moment, go with the flow, but the truth is, your brain thrives on structure. It's not a limitation. It's freedom. You see, when your brain knows the rhythm of your day, when it knows what to expect, it stops scanning for danger. It stops spinning its wheels trying to protect you from the unknown. Instead it goes, we're good. I can focus now. I can create. I can solve problems. That's when you step into your power. Think about how a child reacts when they don't know what's coming next. Total chaos. But the moment you say, here's what we're doing today, suddenly there's calm. That doesn't change when we grow up. We just hide it better. Your brain is still that same reactive organ, just in a bigger body with more responsibility. And let me tell you, this isn't just about calming your nerves. This is about optimizing your energy. When your brain doesn't have to constantly manage chaos, it stops wasting energy on survival mode and starts redirecting it toward growth. That's the shift. That's when you go from I'm just trying to get through the day to I'm actually building something meaningful. We've all had those days where we're flying by the seat of our pants. No plan, no direction, just reacting. You get to the end of it and you're exhausted, but you can't even explain why. That's cognitive load. That's decision fatigue. Your brain wasn't working harder. It was working inefficiently. Structure is like giving your brain a roadmap. It says, here's where we're going today. These are the priorities. Here's how we'll handle the unexpected. And guess what? That reduces stress even in high pressure situations. Structure doesn't make you fragile. It makes you resilient. It gives you the strength to bend without breaking, to pivot without panicking. Now, some people hear structure and they think that's going to box me in. No, no, no. Real structure doesn't restrict you. It supports you. It's not about rigidity. It's about rhythm. And when you have rhythm, you start to create momentum. And when you have momentum, let me tell you, you become unstoppable. We've been sold this lie that discipline is the opposite of freedom. But the truth, structure creates freedom. When your brain isn't stuck in constant crisis management, you open the door to clarity, to focus, to peace of mind. That's when you start making powerful decisions. That's when your relationships improve. That's when your confidence grows, not because life got easier, but because you got more intentional. So when your brain is craving structure, don't ignore it. Lean into it. Give it what it needs, because a brain at peace becomes a mind in motion. And a mind in motion, that's where your future begins. Structure isn't your cage, it's your launch pad. Let's talk about focus, real, deep, powerful focus, the kind that makes people wonder how you get so much done, how you stay calm under pressure, how you seem to just move. Most people struggle with it, not because they're lazy, not because they're undisciplined, but because their life is missing something fundamental: structure. When your life has no framework, your mind becomes cluttered, and a cluttered mind is a distracted mind. It's like trying to build a house on sand. No matter how good your tools are, nothing sticks. Your brain was never meant to handle 10,000 decisions a day. Yet that's what most people are doing, waking up, immediately bombarded with choices. What should I wear? What should I eat? What should I do first? Should I check my email or scroll social media? One tiny decision after another, and before 9 a.m., you're already mentally drained. That's what we call decision fatigue, and it's real. When your brain doesn't have a structure to lean on, it burns energy on things that don't even matter, leaving nothing left for what does. But structure, that changes the game. Structure tells your brain, hey, don't worry about all that noise. We've got a plan. It removes the clutter. It filters out distraction, and when distraction disappears, boom, focus shows up. Now here's what's crazy. Most people think they need motivation to get things done. But motivation is like a spark. It comes and goes. Structure is the fire pit that keeps the flame alive. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So if you're tired of starting strong and fizzling out, look at your structure. When your day has a rhythm, when you've made the important decisions before the day begins, your brain can finally relax. It says, all right, I know what's next, let's go. And that's when you stop reacting and start leading. You stop putting out fires and start building something meaningful. Let me give you an example. You ever sit down to work on something important and suddenly feel this urge to check your phone? Or grab a snack, or maybe reorganize your entire closet? That's not laziness. That's a brain with no rails. That's your mind searching for escape because there's no clear direction. But give that same brain a block of time. Give it a single defined task, remove the noise, shut the doors, lock into one intention. What happens? The work flows, you get in the zone, you forget to check your phone because you're so deep in what you're doing. That's the power of structure. It builds the conditions for focus to thrive. You don't need to be a machine. You don't need to have superhuman discipline. What you need is a design, a framework, a process, something repeatable. Something that supports you when your energy is low, when the world is loud, when motivation disappears. And listen, when you train your brain to focus, you train it to succeed. Because focus isn't just about productivity. Focus is about presence. It's about being here now, with your goals, with your people, with your life. When structure is in place, your decisions get sharper, your direction gets clearer, your outcomes become predictable. You're no longer reacting to your day, you're driving it. And the truth is, your focus is too valuable to waste. Your time is too sacred to scatter. Your vision is too important to leave to chance. So put the structure in place. Give your brain the clarity it's been begging for, and watch what happens when your focus becomes unstoppable. Because the moment you structure your focus, you take back control of your life. Let's talk about something most people ignore until it starts screaming: emotion. Your energy, your attitude, your ability to show up, it's all tied to how well you manage your emotional state. And here's the secret most people miss. Structure isn't just about time management or getting more done. Structure is emotional safety, it's emotional strength, it's how you train your nervous system to stay steady even when life throws you curveballs. Think about this: when life feels chaotic, when your schedule is all over the place, when you're rushing from thing to thing with no rhythm, what happens inside you? Your stress response goes through the roof. You get anxious, irritable, reactive. You start snapping at the people you love. You lose clarity. You spiral. That's not because you're weak. That's your nervous system doing what it's wired to do in an unpredictable environment. Panic. But now flip that. Imagine waking up knowing exactly how your morning flows. Imagine stepping into your day with intention. Not scrambling, not guessing, but flowing. Your brain knows what's next. Your body relaxes. Your emotions stabilize. Why? Because you're creating certainty. And when your brain senses certainty, it lets go of the fear. It drops the armor. That's when you start living from strength, not survival. Let me tell you, most emotional breakdowns don't come from the big things. They come from the little things stacking up. Running late, skipping meals, not sleeping, losing track of time, saying yes to too many things. All those moments where you think you're just being flexible or pushing through. It adds up. And then one day, boom, you crash, the meltdown happens, you burn out, you snap at someone and don't even know why. But when you have structure, you're not just organizing your calendar, you're stabilizing your emotions. You're saying to your nervous system, I got you. I'm not leaving you hanging today. And that creates a baseline of emotional resilience that carries you through the hard stuff. Look, emotion isn't something to suppress, it's fuel, but only if you know how to manage it, and structure is how you do that. It's how you prevent those emotional spikes that drain your energy. It's how you stay grounded when the pressure hits. Because life will hit, people will disappoint you, plans will fall apart. But if your internal world is steady, if your habits, your rituals, your rhythm are in place, you won't fall apart. This is why routines matter, not because they're trendy, not because successful people post about them on social media. They matter because they regulate your system, that morning walk, that journal, that moment of stillness before your day begins. It's not just about productivity, it's about peace. It's about setting the tone before the world sets it for you. And here's what's wild. Once you get this dialed in, once you build a structure that supports your emotional state, everything else gets easier. Conversations go smoother, conflict doesn't throw you off, you stop reacting and start responding. You don't take everything personally anymore. You have space, you have perspective, you become a leader in your own life, not a passenger. Most people live in reaction mode their whole lives. Structure pulls you out of that. It puts you in command. You stop bouncing between emotions like a pinball machine. You start becoming intentional about how you feel, how you show up, and how you lead others through it too. Because let's be honest, if you can't manage your emotions, they will manage you, and they don't care about your goals. They don't care about your relationships. They don't care about your potential. They care about now. They care about survival, but when you create structure, you train your emotions to serve your vision, not sabotage it. Structure isn't just about getting more done. It's about becoming unshakable. Let's get real for a second. How many of you have ever sat down to get something important done and suddenly found yourself scrolling through your phone, making a snack, checking emails, cleaning the desk, anything but the actual task in front of you? Sound familiar? That's procrastination in action. And it doesn't mean you're lazy or unmotivated. It means your brain is overwhelmed. It's trying to protect you from uncertainty. And the root cause, what's really feeding that procrastination, is a lack of structure. When your brain doesn't have a clear path forward, it hesitates. It resists, not because it doesn't want to move, but because it doesn't know how. It's like standing at a crossroads with 10 different paths and no signs. So what do? You stand still. You delay. You find distractions that give you little hits of dopamine but rob you of real progress. Now, let's be clear, procrastination isn't just about putting things off. It's emotional. It's your brain avoiding discomfort, uncertainty, fear of failure, fear of not doing it perfectly. And if there's no structure in place to support you, to guide you through that resistance, you will default to distraction every time. Think about it. When your day has no plan, no time blocks, no clarity on priorities, what happens? You check your messages, jump between random tasks, bounce around without finishing anything. You feel busy all day, but go to bed wondering what you actually accomplished. That's the trap. You're moving, but you're not progressing. And it drains you. But when structure enters the picture, everything shifts. Suddenly, you're not trying to find time. You've created it. You're not waiting for motivation. You've already laid the track. Structure eliminates ambiguity, and that's what your brain needs to feel safe enough to start. Because once you start, momentum takes over. But getting to that starting line, that's where structure wins. This isn't about micromanaging every second of your day. It's about giving your mind a clear launch pad. When you block off time for specific actions, when you break down big projects into small steps, when you schedule your energy, not just your time, you stop negotiating with your future. You start honoring it. And here's something to chew on every time you delay action. You teach your brain that avoidance equals relief. You hardwire that response. So the next time a challenge shows up, guess what? The same habit kicks in. But structure rewires that pattern. It gives your brain a roadmap. It says, here's where we start, here's the next step, here's when we finish. No drama. No guesswork, just movement. And the beauty is, the more structure you build, the less resistance you feel. You stop relying on willpower because your system supports you. You've made it easy to begin, and that's the biggest battle right there. Starting, because once you're in it, the fear shrinks, the fog clears, you start building momentum. You start seeing results, and that right there, that feeling, is fuel. So if you're tired of procrastinating, tired of letting your day slip through your fingers, tired of knowing what to do but not doing it, stop blaming your discipline. Start looking at your structure. Are you setting your environment up to win? Are you designing your day to reduce friction? Are you choosing clarity over chaos? Because when you eliminate decision fatigue, when you remove guesswork, when you create consistent patterns of action, you don't just beat procrastination. You rise above it, you outgrow it, you become someone who acts in spite of fear, someone who builds momentum no matter what's going on around them. So the next time you feel that pull to delay, to distract, to drift, pause, breathe, then get back to your structure. Get back to your rhythm, get back to you. Procrastination fades the moment structure takes the lead. Let's break this down and make it simple. You don't need a massive overhaul to create structure in your life. You don't need to wake up tomorrow and have your entire world perfectly color-coded and planned out to the minute. That's not real life. That's not sustainable. What you do need, what actually creates lasting change, is starting small. Structure doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler it is, the more powerful it becomes. Start with micro routines that might be as basic as waking up and immediately making your bed. That's structure. It might be choosing to write down your top 3 priorities every morning before checking your phone. That's structure. It might be blocking just 30 minutes in the afternoon for deep, focused work without distractions. That's structure, and those tiny decisions, they start to stack. They build momentum. And before you know it, you've built a framework that supports your goals, protects your energy, and trains your brain to follow through. Now, don't get trapped in the idea that structure has to be rigid. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They hear the word routine and think prison. But structure isn't about controlling every second. It's about creating rhythm. Rhythm that works with your natural energy, not against it. Rhythm that allows flexibility but never forgets direction. Because without rhythm, we fall into chaos. Without rhythm, we default to distraction, overwhelm, burnout. So let's talk about tools for a second. Want structure? Use what's already in your hands. A simple to-do list. Powerful, a calendar with actual time blocks. Not just appointments, but blocks for focus, breaks, family time. Life-changing, a habit tracker where you check off the things that matter most each day. That's how you bring accountability into your structure. And the key isn't using a fancy app or system. The key is consistency. Whatever tool you choose, stick to it long enough to build trust with yourself. And here's something that really matters: you don't need to structure your entire life in one go. That's a recipe for burnout. Start with one piece of your day. Maybe it's your mornings. Maybe it's how you shut down your day at night. Maybe it's how you handle the first hour of your workday. Pick one, build structure there. When it becomes second nature, move to the next. Because when you try to do everything at once, your brain panics. But when you build slowly, intentionally, the structure becomes part of who you are. You've also got to understand this: your environment matters. If your space is chaotic, your mind will be chaotic. So create a space that supports your structure, clean up the clutter, design spaces that invite clarity, make it easy to do what matters most. If your phone is your biggest distraction, put it in another room when you're working. If you keep forgetting to journal, put your notebook where you see it first thing in the morning. Don't just rely on willpower, design an environment that supports success. And here's where the magic happens. When you create structure that works for you, not for Instagram, not for some productivity guru, but for you, your brain starts to trust the process. You don't have to hype yourself up every day. You don't have to fight through resistance. You just show up, do the work, follow the rhythm. That's when you start making real progress. That's when your habits compound. That's when change becomes permanent. Remember, the goal here isn't perfection. The goal is momentum, and momentum is built through structure, step by step, routine by routine, choice by choice. It's not sexy, it's not always exciting, but it works. And over time, it transforms you into the kind of person who doesn't just dream big, but actually lives big. Build the structure first, and the results will follow. Let's flip the script for a second. Most people hear the word structure and immediately think of restriction. Like it's going to box them in, limit their creativity, take away their freedom, but that's not the truth. That's a lie we've been told, because here's the real deal. Structure isn't the enemy of freedom. It's the birthplace of it. When you don't have structure, what are you really free to do? Free to react, free to chase distractions, free to fall behind, free to wake up stressed, spend the day overwhelmed, and go to bed exhausted, wondering where the time went. That's not freedom, that's chaos dressed in freedom's clothes. But when you've got structure, that's when things shift. That's when you actually create the space to think, to build, to lead, to breathe. You stop spending all your energy putting out fires and start using it to design your future. You stop saying, "I didn't have time," and start realizing you always had the time, you just didn't have a system to protect it. Structure is what lets you move through your day with purpose. It lets you say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. It's what makes room for passion, creativity, and spontaneity, because the basics are already handled. You're not stuck in survival mode anymore. You're not guessing your way through the day. You're owning it. That's real freedom. That's power. And let's talk about growth. You can't grow without structure, not sustainably, not at the level that leads to real transformation, because growth requires consistency. It requires feedback. It requires showing up over and over, even when you don't feel like it. And without structure, that doesn't happen. Without structure, you're left hoping you'll wake up motivated. You're relying on moods and emotions to drive your actions. But structure makes sure you show up whether the motivation is there or not, and over time, that's what builds identity. That's what builds confidence. People look at high performers and think they must have some secret. They do. The secret is structure. They don't waste time wondering what to do next. They don't wrestle with a million little decisions that drain their energy before lunch. They've created systems that make progress automatic, and that's available to you too. It's not reserved for the elite. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional, Now, I get it. Life is unpredictable. Plans fall apart. People cancel. Emergencies show up. And that's exactly why you need structure. Because structure doesn't just give you a plan. It gives you a baseline, a place to return to, a compass when things get messy. It's the foundation that holds when everything else shakes. And in a world that's moving faster than ever, you need something solid beneath your feet. So don't buy into the myth that structure will limit your life. It's the opposite. It gives you the margin you need to say yes to opportunities, to build momentum, to be present with the people you love. When your schedule has a rhythm, your mind has room to breathe. When your habits are aligned, your purpose becomes clear. And when your time has structure, your life opens up. This isn't about becoming robotic. It's about becoming free by design. So ask yourself, what kind of life do you want to live? One that constantly reacts, or one that intentionally creates? Because when you build a structure that supports your vision, you don't just survive, you expand. Discipline doesn't take your freedom, it hands it back to you.